Federal State launches transformational Breeding Hoop Rehabilitation Road Project. President calls for better police crime response. Education is a major tool in the fight against crime, the President says, and the First Family hosts a fun day to celebrate the life and work of Dr. Chetty Jagan. We'll have the details of these and other presidential activities in this week's edition of The Diary for the period March 14 to March 20, 2015. I'm Paul McAdam. Hundreds of persons turned up at State House to be a part of the annual fun day on March 15, which allowed families and friends to celebrate the life and work of the late President Dr. Chetty Jagan. Hello State President Donald Ramotar and First Lady Deolachmi Ramotar took time out to interact with the gathering. Prime Minister Samuel Hines, the General Secretary of the PPPC, Clement Rohi, Prime Ministerial candidate of the party, Ms. Elizabeth Harper, and several other cabinet members were also in attendance. The President offered words of encouragement to the gathering as he called on them to take this period seriously. He noted that as Guyanese celebrate the life and work of Dr. Jagan, they should remain cognizant of the fact that it is a very important time in Guyana's history.
The elections that we are about to have on May 11 will be one of the most important elections ever fought in this country. It is so because over the last 3 years, you've seen the attempts by the opposition to try to stymie, to stop every project, every developmental effort of the government. They tried to stop it. Over the last 3 years, they cut from the budget some $89 billion that should have gone to develop Guyana, but they have no interest in development.
Speaking on some of the critical projects which the political opposition refused to support, mention was made of the cuts to the national budget, the Amalia Falls Hydropower project, the Chetty Jagan International Airport Expansion project, and the Specialty Hospital. President Ramotar pointed out that in spite of these frustrating moves by the political opposition, the country's economy grew by almost 5% every year for the past 3 years. Attendees were urged to vote responsibly to ensure the country's continued development.
So that when the elections will be declared, never again would we have the joint opposition having a majority in the parliament. This time, we must not only win the presidency, but we must win the overwhelming majority in the National Assembly. I therefore call upon you. I call upon you to say that over the years, from the time of the formation of the PPP, this party has stood with the ordinary people of our country. This party has stood like a bulwark to defend the rights of workers, of farmers, of ordinary people. This party has created opportunities for business to grow, to develop, for the creation of wealth, so that we can be able to distribute the wealth to all the people of our country. On May 11, I'm asking you to stand with me, to stand with the PPP Civic, and let us take our country forward.
This year marks the 18th death anniversary of the founder of the People's Progressive Party, Dr. Chetty Jagan, and the State House Fund Day has been for years one of the activities held in the month of March to celebrate his life. The head of state shared his concerns about some members of the community policing groups who are not serving the grouping, calling for stern action against those found erring. The community policing groups, which were established and formally recognized, are intended to boost and assist law enforcement efforts in communities across Guyana. But the conduct of some members leave much to be desired, according to the President.
These groups, which are selected, trained, and resourced to be the first responders and to augment the work of the regular force, are, in the main, doing a commendable job based on the feedback I have received from citizens in different parts of the country. But equally true are the reports of individuals using membership of the community policing group to leverage for their individual agendas.
This must not be tolerated.
The president said that often the CPGs are in close contact with the communities which they serve, hence residents must be able to have confidence and trust their members.
Betrayal of their code of ethics by any member of a community policing group is cowardly and unacceptable social behavior. It must not be tolerated and allowed to fester. We all know that we have the resources to address crime and the perception of our police force. We have the leadership to address these issues as well. But it is time to change how we do things and how we address these problems. Resources and leadership don't matter if you have nowhere to put those resources and nothing to lead.
Community policing groups have been playing a valuable role in reducing incidents of crime in several communities, and they assist greatly in the maintenance of law and order. Over the last 2 decades, government has invested billions of dollars in the local security sectors to ensure better citizen security. This has resulted in large sums being spent to equip the Ghana Police Force, which has the responsibility for the country's internal security and the maintenance of law and order.
Much of what is required is being provided incrementally and in the context of the Guyana Police Force strategic reform process. I can point to major capital projects such as the forensic laboratory and the police floating base. Also, the SWAT teams, additional vehicles, boats, information technology, and enhanced real-time communication systems. Refurbished police stations and training institutions, and a substantial increase in the strength of the officers and ranks. These are but a few examples of the incremental growth and development in building a well-equipped and responsive Guyana Police Force.
It was noted that whilst government allocations serve to boost the force's capability, much better performance is expected according to the president.
The population and those elected to lead, whether in government or in opposition, will hold you, the leadership, accountable for the indiscretions of those among you, or those whom you lead, if they are culpable or of indiscretions, sullying the good name of the organization and betraying the trust vested in you by those whom you serve, the Guyana Police Force, the Guyanese people. I am aware that while the majority of officers and ranks are committed, patriotic servicemen and women, intent on carrying out your duties and responsibilities without fear or favor, affection or ill will, there is a minority, the few rotten oranges that could spoil the whole basket.
Those ranks, he said, who were found culpable of wrongdoing must be sanctioned.
I expect you to exercise zero tolerance in identifying the corrupt, the social deviants, the misfits who have infiltrated your ranks, and then take appropriate action. I also expect you, the leadership, to set the example, and if, after self-assessment, you are found wanting, to take corrective actions. A police officer cannot be a walking contradiction.
Education has a major role to play in the fight against crime, says the president. Education is more than just about gaining knowledge, opined President Ramatar. He said it also has a role to play in reducing crime, particularly amongst the vulnerable sections of society.
Because an educated workforce with more possibilities of jobs and that in that way will keep a lot of young people away from crimes. With better paying jobs that we hope to create in the near future, that will help in many ways. But that's not the only way we have to fight crime. We have to also fight crime by looking at the policing methods and so forth.
Government has joined the rest of the world in recognizing the need for legislation, the president added, and attempted to pass the critically needed anti-money laundering and countering of terrorism finance bill.
The international community believes that a lot of the international criminal activity, the money they get from this, ends up financing terrorism. So there's need for us to cooperate And you know that drugs is one of the big area where people make a lot of money from. Guyana is not a drug producing country, but because of the pressure that was put by the United States and Colombia, so you have what is called the balloon effect, and we have become kind of a transit point where the criminals are passing through drugs. Therefore, the need for us to collaborate and cooperate with the international community is important. And we are cooperating. We have very good cooperation with the United States, with the United Kingdom, with Canada, with the rest of the Caribbean in fighting this scourge, because we're all in this fight together. And we don't have the markets here. The drugs end up in the United States. So they have an interest in helping us as well in fighting these crimes. So we have been setting up various bodies to fight the crime within the society.
Despite government's best efforts, the bill's passage into law was denied by the joint political opposition.
When they vote against that bill, they vote against the Guyanese people because they know that the international community also feels so strong about this bill, because international terrorism is a big issue. And if a country doesn't pass these legislations, then it can be blacklisted. And when your financial sector is blacklisted, it has a big impact on your whole economy. So the opposition had a choice to make. They had a choice to vote against the criminal and vote with the Guyanese people by passing that bill, or, on the other hand, to vote to protect the criminal. On 2 occasions, they had an opportunity to vote to pass that bill. They refused to vote. They voted against it on 2 occasions, which puts our country in danger and which makes the criminal activity, those who are involved in this type of activity, it probably has made them comfortable in this regard. So one of the things that we have to do is, as I've said, continue to educate and lift the quality of our people's consciousness on this issue, work towards providing more and more jobs, but at the same time, to cooperate with the rest of the international community to go after the money.
Commander-in-Chief President Ramatar has called on the Ghana Police Force to improve its response time to crime reports. A call was made for the Ghana Police Force to improve its 911 emergency call service by the President at the recently concluded Ghana Police Force's Annual Officers Conference.
Too often we have heard about the length of time or the fact that people don't answer the 911 calls when they are made. This must stop. Our response time are the worst among all Caribbean nations. The shorter the police travel time from notification to arrival at the crime scene, the more likely it is that police can arrest offenders before they flee.
President Ramatar added that a rapid response will have at least 3 main crime-fighting effects.
One is the reduction in harm from crimes interrupted in progress by police intervention. Another more general benefit of rapid response time is a greater deterrent effect from the threat of punishment reinforced by response-related arrests. The third prevention effect comes from the incapacitation through imprisonment of offenders prosecuted more effectively with evidence from response-related arrests, creating a state-of-the-art rapid response center while requiring hiring and training of new officers, improved technology and infrastructure, and whatever else is needed to have this rapid response more effective.
The President indicated that government is willing to seek overseas assistance in order to ensure the 911 system is operating satisfactorily. You're watching The Diary, where we have been recapping the highlights of the country's President's weekly activities. More after the break.
To ease traffic congestion along the East Bank Highway, which is a critical thoroughfare for accessing the city, plans are afoot to construct a new bypass linkage from Eccles to Diamond. Additionally, the feasibility study for the East Coast East Bank Bypass Road has been completed, and government will be examining how to advance this huge project.
Ghana's crime-fighting capacity has been boosted tremendously. A state-of-the-art forensic laboratory, the formation of the country's first-ever special weapons and tactical SWAT unit, and institutional strengthening are some aspects of the sector's reforms. Capacity building has played an important role as ranks have received training both locally and overseas to effectively deal with various aspects of crime solving. A message from the Government Information Agency. The Amalia Fault Hydropower project is essential for a vibrant manufacturing sector. On the flagship of the LCDS, Norway has transferred earnings from its partnership with Guyana, amounting to some $80 million to the Inter-American Development Bank to fund a part of Guyana's equity share in the project. High amongst the priorities will be ensuring the achievement of more affordable and more reliable energy. Government will deliver the Amalia Fall Hydropower project along with all of its attendant benefits. It is expected that there will be an achievement of financial closure and commencement of the construction of this project during 2015. A message from the Government Information Agency. The transformational West Coast Breeding Hoop to Perica Road project will boost the development of Region 3 communities, according to President Donald Ramatar. Delivering the feature address, the President said that the project will also boost Guyana's development, which has been propelled by the performance of the economy over the last several years, despite an international crisis and the efforts of the political opposition.
This is only one of yet another important project here in Region 3. But already we are working on, and hopefully before the end of the year, all the feasibility study will be finished so that we can look at the West Bank, the Marara Road highway as well, to redo that, and to look at canals number 1 and 2 roads, to have them fixed.
President Ramatar called on residents and other stakeholders to care of the infrastructural works being undertaken at great expense.
It is important for us to care these type of investment. We are going to ensure here to try to stimulate some private sector activity. We are working to try to start writer tuition very soon to put down a call center, which we hope will employ about 900 persons in this area where they will not have to travel to go to work. Another such center we're hoping to put in Enmore to begin very soon. And we are going to Essequibo Coast on this Saturday to turn the sod so that we can establish, to add value to our rice sector, so that our farmers can add value, they can earn more for the rice as we look to produce rice cereal right here from the Essequibo Coast and use our rice more for those type of purposes than only selling paddy and rice to the international market. So these are the plans that we have. This is the direction that we are going. The President further issued a stern warning to the Public Works Ministry to ensure that the contractors complete their jobs within the scheduled time frame. I'm tired of many of the projects not coming in on time and on budget. And this is one of the focus we will have to have. We can't have consultants justifying all kind of delays all the time that we must put in all of their contracts. Penalty clauses if these things don't come in on time and on budget. It is time that we look for quality in every area, not only in the physical infrastructure, but in the manner that we do things as well. On November 22, 2014, government formally signed a $46.8 million contract with several contractors for varying aspects of the road project. The road network upgrade will see the rehabilitation of the 30.7-kilometer road stretch from Breeding Hoop to Hydroni Perica, catering for widening separation lanes for cyclists and pedestrians, installation of traffic signs, relocation of utilities and other ancillary works. The roadworks component will be done by BK International and Surrey Paving and Aggregate Company Limited over a 36-month period. The project is funded jointly by the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, and the Ghana government. Agriculture in Region 3 is expected to play an even greater role in Guyana's development. The importance of Region 3 with regards to agriculture was touted by the President when he headlined a simple ceremony to mark the start of the $46 million Breeding Hope to Perica Road project. He explained that the region's Del Conte Road will be open to giving access to farmlands as part of efforts to broaden the local agricultural base. The more that we can broaden the base of the economy, the better and more immune we will be from external economic shocks. And we see great possibilities in the coconut industry, that it can develop into being as strong and as powerful as rice and sugar in Guyana. For instance, this bottle of water that we have here, we normally have the people that produce this, they filter the water to try to get it pure with carbon. What do you think these carbons are made of? They are made from coconut shells imported from Sri Lanka. We can do that here. We can do that right here. Or our mining industry, the trapping of gold. It is also trapped by the very carbon that filters these water. All of that, we have a local market, plus we can also export this.
Mention was also made of the further development of soy production.
Like soya bean, which is important for stock feed and helping us to develop a strong livestock industry where we can produce and probably export meat and milk and dairy products into the rest of the Caribbean, and where we can make an important contribution not only to Guyana but to the food security of the region as a whole. So this is the direction that we are going. The expenditure of these money that we're having in infrastructure is going to help this country to continue its upward climb and for us to reach a higher level of development.
Government, he said, has invested large sums of money to improve and diversify the local agricultural sector as it seeks to return the nation towards being the breadbasket of the Caribbean and enhancing local and regional food security. Ghana's need to tap into its hydropower potential has seen government moving to construct the Amalia Falls hydropower project. This project was set back after the joint political opposition refused to support its construction. This position appears to have changed since. Recently, it was reported that the opposition leader indicated that he has had a change of heart and is now in favor of the transformational Amalia Falls hydropower project. President Ramadan gave this reaction.
Mr. Granger has changed his mind about Amaila. I don't know if that is exactly what he said, but what I'm speaking about, it goes to character. We would have lost years. If he now see Amaila is important, why didn't he support it? And why did he vote it down when we had the opportunity to have a strong and cheap energy in our society that we know got the potential to transform our society as a whole? So these, as I said, it goes to character. It shows very much how the mentality of the 3 years, you have a little bit of an idea of what took place over the last 3 years in our country with people who seems very determined to hold back the development of our country.
Despite the setback, government is going ahead with plans to make cheap, reliable hydropower a reality.
I am determined that this project is so important for the development of our country that we must have Amaila. And I'm very, very close. And we are very, very close at this point in time to conclude and with new partners for the construction of the Amaila hydroelectricity in Guyana. That is extremely important at this time.
More of the diary after this break. The Amalia Falls hydropower project is essential for a vibrant manufacturing sector. Under the flagship of the LCDS, Norway has transferred earnings from its partnership with Guyana, amounting to some $80 million to the Inter-American Development Bank to fund a part of Guyana's equity share in the project. High amongst the priorities will be ensuring the achievement of more affordable and more reliable energy. Government will deliver the Amalia Falls hydropower project along with all of its attendant benefits. It is expected that there will be an achievement of financial closure and commencement of the construction of this project during 2015. A message from the Government Information Agency.
Education is a fundamental building block for human development. 22 years ago, only 32% of our children had access to education. Today, education is accessible to every Guyanese child. Some 1,000 new schools have been built or refurbished throughout the country, and university education has expanded with a new campus in Berbice. The achievement of excellence in education is no longer confined to only students in Georgetown. Now, students from other regions are successfully topping the country and the Caribbean. These achievements and investments in education have brought positive recognition for Guyana and Guyanese everywhere. Our country has achieved the Millennium Development Goal of universal primary education. It is therefore not mere coincidence that education receives the largest allocation of the national budget. This is a demonstration of government's commitment to the development of students by preparing them for the future and helping their dreams become reality. Education, flying the flag of excellence as Guyana blooms.
The Community Development Initiative Plan, CDP, under the Amerindian Development Fund, is a project introduced by the PPPC administration to secure livelihood for the Amerindian villages and hinterland communities. Already 25 communities have received $125 million to embark on agriculture, mining and tourism projects, among several others. Additionally, 161 communities are to benefit in the second phase, which will see $1.3 billion being disbursed. A message from the Government Information Agency. That's all in this week's diary for the period March 14 to March 20, 2015. Before we go, these were some of the highlights. Head of State launches transformational Reading Hoop Rehabilitation Road project. President calls for better police crime response. Education is a major tool in the fight against crime, says the President. And the first family hosts a fun day at State House. Do join us again for the next program when we will bring you more of the President's activities. I'm Paul McAdam, thanking you for watching. For more information, contact us via email or visit our website.